The Ineos Grenadiers have been doing a lot of talking about Tom Pidcock and what he can achieve in 2024. They think he can top 10 or higher at the Tour de France. They think he can compete with Evenepoel and Pogacar in the Ardennes. I'm going to take you through whether I think he can and what training he might need to do in the build up to that goal. I think it's great that Ineos have got Pidcock focused on the road and focused on what his body type suits best in the racing. He can't compete with Van der Poel, Pogacar, and Van Aert at the Tour of Flanders or at the other couple classics, but he might be able to compete with Evenepoel and Pogacar at the Ardennes. Equally, he may be able to in the future get a decent result in a Grand Tour or week-long stage races. So that's great. That needed to happen ASAP. The big thing Pidcock needs to train is his individual time trial. He loses a huge chunk of time, and even though he was junior world time trial champion, that doesn't always correlate. Luckily for him, he is on the best time trialing team in the world at the moment, with the likes of Filippo Ganna, Josh Tarling, Ethan Hayter, Tobias Foss coming in, and the brains behind it, Dan Bigham. So I would imagine they'll have him in the wind tunnel. I expect to see some fancy bar extensions, and hopefully we begin to see some improvement in that. The obvious other big thing he needs to work on is that third week, so the fatigue resistance on the long, hard back-to-back mountain days. He can do well on certain climbs or certain stages, like we saw at Puy de Dôme, where he was fourth best of the GC guys and only around a minute behind Pogacar. But then on the Jouplan, he loses 8 minutes. So, and then in the final week, he loses more time. And he did turn it around a little bit on stage 20, but that's neither here nor there. Fatigue resistance and time trialing is what Pidcock needs to work on in training. Races, he will probably do Paris-Nice or Tirreno Adriatico, depending on which route suits him best. Ardennes, and then Dauphiné or Swiss, depending on the route and also which Rodriguez wants to do, and then the Tour de France itself. After the Olympics, just to throw it in, Worlds and Lombardia look like they'll be perfect goals for him as well. On to the aims and how likely I think he will achieve them. And I think in Paris-Nice or Tirreno Adriatico, he'll aim for a top 10 or top 5, top 10. I think he's got a very good chance of doing that. I think he could do that even now. Just depends on which route, which has the most, or what type of TT it is, I guess. Classics, I think he'll aim for the podium in all three, that is. And he'll want to be closer to Evenepoel and Pogacar. I think that will be his bigger goal, potentially, than the podium. Those are pretty high for me. I think last year, the concussion took a lot out of him. People seem to underrate and underestimate how hard it is to get over the concussion symptoms. So for him to finish third in Amstel and secondly in Liège was impressive. He might get the same results next year, but if he's closer, I think they'll be happy. At Dauphiné or Suisse, similar to Paris-Nice, I think top 10, top 5 will be a good aim. He'll have come off the back of probably 2 altitude camps, one after Paris-Nice before the Classics, one after the Classics before the Dauphiné or Suisse. So we'll see how he comes back out of them. But top 5, top 10 will be a good chance for him. At the Tour, I think stage wins are a very big possibility. GC wise, if he hasn't got to work for Rodriguez, if Rodriguez isn't in the podium contention, he should be able to top 10 with that training and with that fatigue resistance here that hopefully built up at altitude.